Hello and welcome everybody to Game 3 of EGIdrA vs. WhiteRa from the ASUS Republic of Gamers Tournament semifinals match. This game is going to be the third match in a best of 5, and EGIdrA is currently up 2-0 in this tournament, meaning that if he takes this game, he is going to be able to win this best of 5 and will be moving on to the finals at the ASUS Republic of Gamers. On the other hand, if WhiteRa is able to take this match, he will be pushing this match to a Game 4, and he needs to win the next 3 games in a row. Let's see how these players do. Spawning in the left position as the red Protoss, we have WhiteRa. Spawning in the upper right position as the blue Zerg, playing from Team Evil Geniuses, we've got EGIdrA. Now, this is, of course, going to be Antiga shipyards on this map. I believe in this version of the map, it is only possible to spawn cross positions. It is completely impossible to spawn close positions on this map, if I am not mistaken. And looks like WhiteRa is just going to be going for another fast expansion here. Not too bad of an idea on this map. And EGIdrA, though, he's the one that I really want to see how he is going to open. I mean, I imagine he's going to do his usual spawning pool opening first, and then go for his expansion before taking any gas, just because EGIdrA these days is really just liking to avoid all that early macroing. EGIdrA is known for his super crisp timings. He has ridiculously really well planned out builds, and every one of his timings are just perfectly immaculate straight on. He does not like it when his timings get messed with, and to have something as early as a fast hatchery get blocked right away is huge for EGIdrA. He really just doesn't like that, likes the certainty of builds, so he has now decided to just opt for this fast spawning pool in every single matchup all the time. And so he builds his build off of that, and now he's playing on his own terms. On the other hand, WhiteRa going for that Forge Fast expand once again. Looks like he's going to be taking that expansion one more time. This is going to be a good, nice, balanced map for both of these players. EGIdrA is going to like it because, of course, they are spawning close positions, or they are spawning cross positions, which means long rush distance, so he has a lot of time to macro, a lot of time to react to any kind of early aggression from his opponents, as long as he scouts well. And of course, WhiteRa in a similar position, he's going to be able to take a fast third base if he does choose to do so. And of course, Protoss on very fast 3 base is really hard to deal with. Just lots of gateway units, maybe even a 3-gate robo into taking a third base can be so hard to break for a lot of Zerg players. So gonna have to see if WhiteRa is going to be taking advantage of that, or whether he's going to be going for his 2-base timings. I tend to think that WhiteRa likes his 2-base timings. From what I've seen of WhiteRa, he really likes going for those 2-base timing attacks and then trying to deal damage as he takes his expansion, maybe even trying to do some harassment. If he's not committing quite so much to the aggression, he can just go for an expansion as he harasses with something like a Warp Prism. That's something that's definitely very possible for WhiteRa to do, and something he commonly does. Now, as you can see, EGIdrA did manage to throw down that fast hatchery at his third location when this hatchery got blocked here, so he's now just going to be taking this very fast hatchery as a third. So he's now going to have a very quick 3 bases up, and there really isn't a whole lot WhiteRa can do about it. As you can see, EGIdRA's just got an Overlord sitting right in the main of WhiteRa right now. He's going to be getting it out of there because pretty soon is going to be the time for that Stalker to pop out. But as we can see, Cybernetics Core not even done here for WhiteRa, so EGIdRA has a lot of time. He's got 1 Ling at the front, so we can poke up here and try to see what his opponent is doing and seeing where his opponent is in terms of tech. Because if there's one thing that this build, a Forge Fast Expand, does for a Protoss player, a lot of Zergs will be like, Forge Fast Expand, it's so hard to break. I don't know what to do against it. Well, here's one thing you can do against it. They take forever to get anything out, any units out, to get up a lot of gateways after doing this. It's just really hard to do. It's really hard to get a lot of units out very fast. And as you can see, WhiteRa's been doing this pretty consistently. And he opens up very fast Stargate. That means he's feeling like he's very well enough defended at the front by this 1 photon cannon, can throw down more cannons, and has that 1 gateway that he can chrono boost additional units out of if he really needs to. But wants to do some damage, wants to find a way to put damage back to his opponent and put some pressure on his opponent while he's doing this build, just because, like I said, this can be a very passive build. Doing a Forge Fast Expand means you're not going to be attacking for quite a while, and one way to at least put a little bit of pressure on your opponent is to get up a very fast Stargate, maybe a fast Void Ray to maybe try to deny a third if you can. At least get a few drone kills, try to put some pressure on your opponent. EGIdrA, though, is going to be very well prepared for that. As you can see, he's going to be throwing down that evolution chamber once again. Going to be expecting that just because he's already seen it twice today. Already seen WhiteRa go for those fast Stargate techs, so he's almost got to be expecting at this point that his opponent's going to be going for that. And the Roach Warren now going down here for EGIdrA, as well as the Zergling speed, so it looks like it's going to be a combination of Roaches and Zerglings here in the early game to try to take out WhiteRa. Zergling Roach mixtures are very, very good, and they transition well. That's one thing that's good about a Roach Ling mix, is that it transitions very well into Roach Hydra, Roach Hydra Corruptor. You can even transition not too bad into Mutalisks that way, just because Roaches are not that gas heavy. They are pretty mineral heavy though, which is generally not too much of a problem there for Zerg players. Now, EGIdrA is going to be getting into the main with this Overlord. Does see a lot of gateways going down, but still didn't quite manage to see that Stargate tech. No, didn't see that Stargate tech. Doesn't know about that yet, but that's going to soon change as his Zerglings are about to get up this ramp, and they are going to be able to see that Stargate. And there we go. And I actually don't know what I'm doing. Let me show you this cool trick. I just learned this cool trick today. Actually, if you select units and you hit V, you can instantly go to that player's vision. I think that's really cool. If I just hold V, I can just check that player's vision instantly, because I used to check it by pushing 1 and 2 to change this little guy down here to just see whose vision I'm on. But yeah, now I just learned that new little trick. So you learn something new every day, trying to improve that casting all of the time. Now, it looks like WhiteRa is going to be trying to take his third expansion, going to be knocking this Overlord out of his third positions base, and EGIdrA is now going to know that his opponent's taking that third, and I would almost bet that EGIdRA's going to be throwing down a fourth in response to seeing that Overlord get taken out and that pylon going down. Very safe bet there for EGIdRA to do. He loves to macro up as hard as he can. As we can see, these Phoenixes are now moving around in, and they are going to be able to take out that Queen at this third. I think there are no Spore Crawlers. And did anyone else see that Spore Crawler just glitching out right now like it was built, but then all of a sudden it wasn't there? Maybe that was just the ghost of it, and it just looked weird to me. I don't know, but anyway, those Spore Crawlers are going to be done here pretty soon. These Phoenixes, of course, cannot do anything to stop those Spore Crawlers from building, so they're just going to continue to be very annoying until those Spore Crawlers are up here. Being able to take out a few Queens here, going to be doing some damage that way. That can actually be very, very annoying for Zerg players, because Queens take forever to build. They do take 50 seconds to build, almost a full minute to build, but now EGIdRA is moving across the map with some Roaches here. He says, you know what, if you're going to be pressuring me with all those units, and beautiful force fields going down here for WhiteRa, going to be able to pick off a lot of Zerglings quite easily, and now EGIdRA going to have to be forced to pull back there, as he's now going to start to poke into the natural expansion here of WhiteRa. Going to start to pick off that Zealot, and more forces coming out here from WhiteRa, but now the Phoenixes do manage to come back in time, and holy cow, that Phoenix count is getting really, really high, neutralizing some of those Roaches, allowing these ground forces to take out some of these Roaches, and WhiteRa needs to pick up a few more of those Roaches. There we go. Now those Roaches being picked up, and it looks like WhiteRa is going to be able to just manhandle this push here from EGIdRA. So well played maneuver there by WhiteRa. Very well done, denying any kind of damage from being done, other than a little bit of unit damage there. But as you can see, WhiteRa is ahead in the food count, 99 food to 74, and EGIdRA is just going to be taking that fast hatchery. He saw his opponent going for this third, so his opponent can't put too much huge pressure on him at the moment, because he's going to be spending a lot of resources in getting that third up and running. But WhiteRa does have the majority of the map control right now. He's moving around with these Phoenixes, going to start to pick off a lot of stray Overlords. If we check out the vision of EGIdRA, he really doesn't have a whole lot of map control. He's got a couple of Lings at this base over here so that he can tell when his opponent is going to be expanding there, but now WhiteRa's moving into the main expansion here, and he's going to start to do some damage, picking up some probes, taking out a lot of probes here, getting quite a few probe kills. So far, 5 probes killed here for WhiteRa, and he's now going to be moving into the natural expansion, knowing exactly what his opponent's going for. Once again, he's kind of forced his opponent into this Roach Hydra mixture, and he's continuing to be very annoying. He's losing a lot of Phoenixes, but I don't know if he's making enough workers. He's only killed 6 workers so far, so I don't know that this is really all that worth it, but it looks like he's going to be able to pick off a free Hydralisk, but that Phoenix survives amazingly. He's losing a lot of Phoenixes, though, so I'm not sure about that decision by WhiteRa. Could definitely be playing a little safer. Ooh, loses another 2 Phoenixes a little bit carelessly there, as he just flew straight over 2 Spore Crawlers. Not the best control there from WhiteRa, but WhiteRa still ahead in the food count. Nonetheless, now we do have a War Prism being loaded up here for WhiteRa. We do see now Colossi are now coming up, as well as that extended thermal lance, a second robotics facility being thrown down now here for WhiteRa as well. Looks like he's going to be continuing to try to be annoying with these Phoenixes, and EGIdRA actually taking down his own indestructible rocks at his back. That is, of course, because he wants to be able to reinforce at this gold base very, very fast. And does WhiteRa know this base is up? Yes, he does actually know that this base is up. Gonna need to apply some pressure on his opponent here very soon. And there comes the warp prism harasses. He's now dropping off all of those zealots. But man, there are a lot of hydralisks already in the base here for EGIdrA, and he's just gonna be picking off all of those forces quite easily. Not too much damage done there by WhiteRa, but WhiteRa's just gonna be pulling back, warping in some more units, loading that up, and trying once again. But ooh, is EGIdrA gonna be able to spot it? EGIdrA does see that there, and yes, he does now move some units into position. There we go. Now those hydralisks are gonna go over there and start to pick off that warp prism, because he did just barely see it out of this overlord's vision range. And beautiful move here by EGIdrA. Is he actually gonna be able to pick off that warp prism? Nope, he actually can't quite get it. I like the thinking though of EGIdrA there, using that overlord to spot for the hydralisks on the low ground, but not quite in range to be able to take out that warp prism. And WhiteRa just pulls it back smartly by watching that mini-map there and knowing what his opponent's doing. Now, we do have Spire Tech coming down now for EGIdrA. We do just now have +2 missile attacks finishing up for EGIdrA, and he's just now starting that +1 ground carapace as well. And looks like it's going to be for those corruptors. Does EGIdrA know about the Colossus tech yet? I don't know if he completely knows about that, but that's definitely the one thing he needs to worry about right now. With the Roach Hydra Mixture, Colossi are the one thing that can really shut these units down, so he's going to need to do that very, very soon. He's going to need to get those Corruptors up to be able to handle all those, and there we go. He does now see those Colossus, and oh, one Phoenix does manage to get picked off there by EGIdrA, and he is now going to be pulling back. But look at the food count right now of WhiteRa. WhiteRa has a very, very scary army. There's quite a few Stalkers out here, lots of Zealots to be able to take damage, and the Colossus count is getting very high. 4 Colossi currently up here for WhiteRa, and he's got 2 more in production right now. That is going to be a very, very strong push here. On that forge, we do see that +2 ground weapons is on the way, +1 ground armor is complete as well, so he's going to be getting those out. We do not yet have Zealot Charge or Blink down yet, but ooh, looks like WhiteRa going to try to go for some more harassment, but EGIdrA once again picking off any kind of damage from being done there. But now WhiteRa is now moving across the center of the map, going to start to focus down all the units in the middle, going to start to target down all the drones. EGIdrA pulling all of his drones away from that gold expansion just in time, but the Corruptors are now up here for EGIdrA, and on the units tab, we can see that he's currently got 8 Corruptors out on the field, as well as 37 Roaches and 13 Hydralisks. That is a ton of units out here for EGIdrA, but this is a very scary army here from WhiteRa, and he is continuing to reinforce this army. He's placing lots of forward pylons here to try to deal damage. Beautiful force fields going down here from WhiteRa as he's splitting up a lot of these forces. Look at all these Roaches in the back that aren't shooting at all, and now these Colossi are doing a lot of damage, but these Corruptors are taking them out so fast. They are not quite getting focused down, and those force fields do finally go down, and EGIdrA starting to deal a lot of damage to these units here. All the Colossi now going down here from WhiteRa. What is WhiteRa going to do in response to this? Is he going to switch tech? Looks like he might just barely be able to pick up this attack, but look at the macro of EGIdrA. EGIdrA in that fight, despite having lost his entire army, has been remacroing so fast. 150 food to 133 right now for EGIdrA. EGIdRA is doing so well, but the Stalker count is getting very, very high for WhiteRa, and these are 2-1 Stalkers. Those do so much damage to Roaches. Stalkers, of course, have bonus damage versus armored, and they take down Roaches so fast. These Roaches are 2-1 in upgrades, so they actually take a decent amount of damage from those Stalkers. But now, looks like EGIdRA's just going to be retaking that gold expansion. That hatchery is so low right now, so close to going down. Macro hatchery is up, and there is another base going down now for EGIdRA, and it looks like WhiteRa might actually be deciding to take the gold expansion here. He's throwing down a photon cannon here, a couple of photon cannons to be able to defend here, and he's going to be sending an observer into the middle of the map, and there we go. The Nexus now going down here for WhiteRa. He's going to be on 4 base, and that is going to be very scary for EGIdRA to be able to deal with. So far, looks like we currently have a gateway count of about 10 gateways up for WhiteRa right now, continuing to get Immortals and Colossi out of these 2 robotics facilities. That is actually really, really strong. I actually really, really like that play from WhiteRa, and I think that's something that we're going to start to see more and more from Protoss players against Zerg players, just because Robotics Bay units are really, really, really good. Robotics facility units are really, really good, and traditionally in ZVP we only ever see like maybe 1 robotics facility go up, but it's kind of becoming something that's much, much more popular. Immortals are really good, Colossi are really good, and Warp Prisms, now that they're seeing increased use, we're starting to see a lot more Robo facilities going up for Protoss players against Zerg. Now we do have a big engagement here going on in the middle. Looks like Idra's going to try to deny this gold expansion from going down, but the Colossus count is once again here pretty high. Immortals now are up as well, and look at how fast they are chewing through all those roaches. The roaches are dying so fast, and Idra being forced to pull back with all his Hydralisks once again, using excellent Overlord creep spread here to get that mobility advantage. But we do have a drop also going down in the main here for Idra. Looks like WhiteRa was able to pull his units away in time, but there's not a whole lot of damage to be done here. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of mining left going on in this base. WhiteRa rather, is going to be retaking his gas geysers here. It needs to be finishing off these Hydralisks. These Hydralisks are so beefy, taking down those Zealots, but WhiteRa continuing to apply pressure to the gold expansion is now moving in and taking down so many of these Corruptors. The Corruptor count is a little bit too low right now, but there are no Colossi out here, so I guess Idra is okay with that, as he is now continuing to get a lot of roaches, plus 2 ground carapaces on the way right now for Idra, and WhiteRa really just needs to zip in here and pick off this hatchery, and that's exactly what he's going to do, and there he goes. Now focusing down that hatchery. That hatchery's still at 90 health. WhiteRa finished that hatchery off. Needs to take out that gold expansion. Not quite picking it off. It's only at 18 health. There you go. The hatchery does go down there, and now Idra is going to have to rebuild that hatchery if he's going to want to reestablish it. Idra now spreading out his overlords quite nicely, wants to deny any kind of expansions, and these 3 Hydralisks are still here. This is unbelievable. How long have these Hydralisks been here for Idra, doing so much damage, almost taking down that Nexus? I cannot believe that. WhiteRa, though, pushing back into the mid once again. Notice he's teched away from Colossi right now, and he's going strictly for Immortals just because they're going to do so well against those roaches. But looks like he is going to be continuing back into that Colossi tech just because he does know that he has now taken out all the Corruptors, and he's seen that Idra is now transitioning back into pretty much pure Roach Hydra, and so he's going to be transitioning back into those Colossi just because they're so good. And nice force field there. I think that force field was worth it. 1 force field got him a couple of Roach kills there. Not a bad trade. As you can see, Idra trying to get up more Hydralisks. 1 Corruptor is currently on the way. I would like to check out the tech that Idra's been going for right now, but of course there's been so much action here at the middle. Haven't had a chance to check out Idra's base in quite a while. Nice force fields going down there by WhiteRa, but he is kind of fighting in a bit of a choke there, and that's a little bit of a tough position. Look at the concave that Idra has right now. He definitely has a concave advantage, but 1 Colossus is now on the field, and look at it just destroying those Hydralisks. Look at how fast it goes through those Hydralisks. They just die so quickly to this Colossus. This Colossus is just getting so many kills, now forcing Idra to fall back, but Idra continuing to macro very strongly. WhiteRa still, except for taking out this gold base, hasn't done any economic damage, and WhiteRa now, or Idra rather, has this base up and running. Let's do a quick check into Idra's base. No hive tech quite up yet. Infestation pit is down right now. +2 missile attacks as well as the +2 carapace is done right now, and Idra continuing to just macro up so many forces, more than WhiteRa is able to handle here on a 3 base. He's never been able to really mine from this 4th expansion here, and now he's transitioning, or he's main-arting a bunch of workers here to this gold expansion here, and WhiteRa doing everything he can to try to get these forces out of his base, but Idra continuing to just produce tons and tons of units. His macro is just so strong. Idra almost never missing those injects. There we go. There's that inject going down. Don't prove me wrong, Idra. No good. That's just BM. And we do still have this Overlord here. I'm actually kind of surprised Idra hasn't dropped those off again yet. But he is just continuing to apply pressure, and the gold expansion finally does go down here. So WhiteRa did lose that, and he has no other mining base right now. His natural is completely mined out. His 3rd is getting close to being mined out, and WhiteRa not looking like he's in the best position right now. In the food count, we can see Idra's up 177 to 91 food right now, so WhiteRa is in an absolutely fantastic, or Idra rather, is in a fantastic spot to be able to take this game, and WhiteRa just does not have the forces. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for him to come back here, because as you can see, Idra is just continuing to take more bases, now taking this lower right expansion here, probably going to be taking this expansion here very shortly. WhiteRa poking in there to see if that base is up and running. Does WhiteRa even know about this base? No, WhiteRa doesn't even know that this base is up, and there we go. More Hydralisks now being dropped there for Idra in the base of WhiteRa, and he does manage to finally pick off that Nexus. That Nexus, though, was of course more being used for Chrono Boost than anything. I don't think there's a whole lot of gas left here. Yeah, not a lot of gas left over there, but WhiteRa is really starved for any kind of resources at this point. He just doesn't really have a whole lot, and Idra is once again maxed at that 200 army, now pooping out those changelings, which are going to be scouting his opponent's army, and he's going to be very happy to go in here and see that his opponent really just doesn't have a whole lot of stuff, and look at that. Now he's just going to be pulling back, maybe even reestablishing this gold expansion, trying to get all of his bases up and mining as best as he can, and he's doing the smart play here in once you reach a certain number of harvesters, and in IGiDRA's case right now, 66 harvesters, once you start to reach about 70 harvesters, as a Zerg player, once you start taking bases, you want to strictly just take gas. You want to take gas, and you want to have about 3 bases mining minerals, and then just as your minerals kind of deplete, you just kind of transition them over to the bases that have more minerals. That way, you establish a pretty even source of minerals and gas. Because if you have more than 3 bases of fully saturated mining mineral drones, then it tends to get you a ton of minerals and just not enough gas to be able to support it. So once you have about 3 bases of mining minerals, then it's definitely you want to start taking expansions strictly for the gas. As you can see, EGIdRA right now mining on just 2 bases right now. His third base is getting a little low on minerals there, but all of them currently mining gas. Even his main is still mining gas there, although it just ran out. Big engagement here going on in the middle as WhiteRa is now trying to move up and get aggressive here, but EGIdRA, with just a huge number of forces, I think he's just going to be able to crush this push. Look at all these corruptors, taking down all those colossi. The roaches and the hydras are now moving forward. Hydra is just so good against gateway units, and WhiteRa with the GG. Well played. EGIdRA also with the GG as WhiteRa leaves the game, and EGIdRA takes the entire series 3-0. Brilliantly played game there by EGIdrA, and that's going to pretty much do it for this series, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that series. If you did, please comment, please subscribe, please check me out at twitter.com/getglitched and email me those replays. If you want to see yourself on my YouTube channel next week, I'm going to be doing a little bit of user-submitted analysis. Also, let me know in the email when you send me that email whether you want me to go for a little bit more of a criticizing perspective. I've been thinking some players might want a little bit more of an analysis-based cast, whereas others might want it to be a little bit more tailored to just being an entertaining game. I can definitely do both of those things. If you want me to do a little bit more critical analysis, then please let me know in the email. You can send those replays over to GLiTCHReplays@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and that's going to do it for me, guys. Glitch out.